missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So this week I have a client who is wanting to do pretty much a touch up on her blue. She hasn't done her roots in a really long time, and this was actually going to be my first time doing her color. I've done her haircut once before, and now she wants to do a touch up for her blue. So what I'm going to be doing is I will be lightening her roots. She did explain in the consultation that she doesn't want her regrowth to be really harsh because she likes to go a little bit longer in between appointments. So she wants something that's gonna grow out really soft, really natural against her natural hair color, yet still keeping the ends nice and bright and blue. So I'm going to be starting in the nape here, and I am pretty much going to try and create a weave pattern or a highlighting sectioning pattern that is going to grow out really soft on her, but also give her some pops of color, but not too much. So I'm starting out in the nape, and I am detailing her hairline first because when she puts her hair up, I do want her to feel like she has some color around her hairline. So I am doing a foil there to kind of give her a nice pop. Today I will be using the Blonde Me Schwarzkopf lightener, and I do a first bowl of 6 volume and 20 volume. That's just to kind of make the first bowl that I use a little bit weaker, because the rest of the head I will just be using just 20 volume. And I like to just use 20 volume on her hair because I feel like even though she's pretty dark, it is going to give me a good amount of lift, yet still have control to where it doesn't lift too fast. So I usually will just stick with the 20 volume all throughout the head after I use up this first full bowl of 6 and 20. So for this type of technique, after I do a weave at the hairline, I will pretty much just be slicing throughout the rest because she does have a good amount of root, but again, I don't want to over highlight her. So for the back portion of her head, I'm going to be focusing on doing diagonal backs all the way up, and you're going to see that as I go through the back section of her head, I'm going to be kind of bricklaying my diagonal backs until I reach the top of the head. And then after I pretty much do that, I continue to weave the hairline in the front, just like how I did in the back hairline. And then I will continue to do diagonal backs on the sides in the front section as well, just as I'm doing here in the back. And I'm taking diagonal back sections because this is going to give her a good amount of color, but also keep a good amount of dimension. So it's gonna make her feel nice and blended. You're not gonna see any like straight lines or anything like that, but you'll definitely see some subtle pops of color back here while maintaining a lot of her dimension. And this will definitely grow out super soft too. So you can see I did a diagonal back, and now I'm doing another diagonal back and kind of taking that diagonal back, and the end of it is going into the other diagonal back. So I'm kind of just like bricklaying these slices back and forth until I reach the top of her head. And since we're leaving a bit of dimension in between her highlights, I am deciding to slice these because I want her to have enough color here. If I were to weave these sections and leave the dimension, she might not see too much color, so that's why I opted to do the slices yet leave a good amount of dimension back here. And for my spacing, as far as how far up I'm taking a diagonal back, is I would say about a ½ inch up from each section. And this is going to just give me the perfect amount of dimension without over highlighting her. So for the remainder of this, I did not get clips of how I highlighted the front, so I'll briefly kind of go over that. I pretty much weaved her hairline and then did continue doing slicing diagonal backs all the way up to the temples of her head, and then everything in the crown section I decided to do them horizontally and weave those so that when she does wear her hair down, she doesn't see the chunks of the slices, because if you were to slice the top, a lot of times you can see the slices giving that chunkiness of a feel of a highlight. So I opted to slice everything below the veil of her head so that she feels like there's enough color and dimension against each other. But right where she parts her hair, I did decide to just weave those areas to give her a more softer, lived-in blend. But I really loved that I did the diagonal backs all below the crown area, because this is just going to give it a really soft blend, as opposed to if I were to do it horizontally, it gives it a more solid blend. So I lifted her to about a level 9 and 10, I would say, before I started to pre-tone her. So in our consultation, she did tell me that her hair sometimes just like fades really teal, and she wanted to try and avoid that as much as possible. So we are going to pre-tone her before we put on her blue, and I don't particularly do this on every client, but because she was pretty concerned about it fading more on the greener side and just being teal in general, I decided to pre-tone her just to kind of give her a little bit of insurance so that it doesn't fade that way. So for my pre-tone, I'm using the Pulp-Right Rapid Toners, and I did a mixture of silver and violet. And I chose the rapid toners because this is going to tone her roots extremely quick before I can put on her semi. And I'm pretty much just putting the toner on her roots as quickly as possible and just kind of brushing that out. I really didn't leave this part on for too long. I probably let it sit probably for like less than 10 minutes, and then we washed it out so that we could prep her for the blue that we were going to be using. And again, I normally don't pre-tone when doing a semi-permanent. This was just a special case so that I could make sure that her blue didn't look teal at all. But another trick to kind of make sure that the blue that you're putting on when using a semi-permanent color doesn't turn out green is I normally like to add a little violet to my semi-permanent colors to kind of prevent and kind of tone the hair as it's depositing the blue tone. And I normally do that on all of my blue formulations. I'll add a little bit of purple, but even though this I did add a little bit of purple, the toner of pre-toning it will definitely also double ensure that it doesn't turn out teal or greenish at all. So for her semi-permanent colors, I am using the Danger Jones line, and I did a mixture of the darker blue for the root to kind of deepen that, and then I did a lighter and brighter blue for the mids and ends. So now I'm just going in and pretty much basing her with the darker blue, and the darker blue is a mixture of Solitude and Libertine to kind of deepen it up. Solitude is their like really bright blue, and then Libertine is their bright purple. And then I pretty much just did a slightly lighter, more blue version of that for the mids and ends. So I've been using the Danger Jones line on a lot of my creative color clients lately, and I have now seen a few clients of returning clients from Creative Colors to see how the color has faded out on them and how they felt about the color line just in general. And I found that these colors tend to be a little bit more vibrant as far as like the pigment when after I'm done like styling my client's hair. And then the other thing that a lot of my clients notice with this color line is that the pigments of their creative color lasts a lot longer than the other lines that I had used before. So So I was really surprised to see that the pigment was brighter and lasted longer, and a lot of my clients actually enjoyed having that because when they come in for touch-ups, they are not as faded as they normally are, which was a huge plus for a lot of them. Alrighty guys, here is the finished look. You can see how beautiful her hair color looks. It is a beautiful bright blue, and the blend of placement that we did looks so gorgeous on her. I feel like when this fades out, she's gonna feel like it just blends right in with her natural, and her roots really won't bug her until a lot later. And I feel like the blue is going to fade out really pretty too against her skin tone. Well, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. And as always, I will talk to you guys next week.